Hey gang, welcome and thanks for joining us for Get Help Hangouts. My name is Trevor Beck, one of your hosts for the show today, and we are going to be talking about the Jamboard. I don't know if any of you have had a chance to play with either the actual Jamboard device or the app, but it is very exciting. And even more exciting, we've got Anita from Google who's going to be taking us through and showing us all the cool things that we can do with the Jamboard and some really cool use cases that have come up. So before we get started, if you're watching this in live time on our website, you can just click on the YouTube logo. That'll pop you over to the YouTube channel, and you can actually see the chat window that we have there, and you can participate in the chat window. If you have any questions after the live show, down at the bottom is the comments space. Put your questions in there, and we'll try and answer them after. So chats for the live time, comments for the archive, and for questions after the show is completed. So before we get started, let's do some introductions. We're going to start off with off to the far right. Anita, you're the one to start. So let's you go ahead.
Yeah, great, super. Hi, I'm Anita Flanagan. I work at Google. I am a program manager on the G Suite for Education team. So I work on lots of our G Suite for Education products, including Classroom, Forms, and now Jamboard. And I've been at Google over 10 years, so a long time Googler.
Very exciting. Nick?
Hi, I'm Nick Cusimano. I'm Director of Instructional Technology for a suburban school district in the St. Louis area, and Google Education Trainer and all that type of good stuff.
Allison?
Hi, I'm Allison Malika, and most of my professional life these days involves some type of Google professional development with apps events. And if anybody wants to do a Jamboard with me later, you're fired up about it, you're looking for someone to partner with, just ping me and I'll play with you.
Excellent. In fact, you know what we might do is once the actual broadcast is over, we'll still be inside the room there. We will go in and we will put a link to the room. So if you guys want to join us after the show, whoever's around, you can still do that. As I mentioned before, my name is Trevor Beck. I am a Google certified trainer here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and very excited to be here. So let's take a look at what we're going to be covering today. So if you've got any questions, again, there's the URL, goo.gl/slides/KYYDX7. If you want, just kick that over into a new tab, and you can put in your questions in there as we go along. If you want to take a look at this this video or any of the other archived videos that we have available, we've got a new website now at bit.ly/gethelphangouts. On that website, as I mentioned, we've got the upcoming video that's going to be on there. We've got a calendar of all the dates of all our videos with links to the show notes and everything. So Get Help Hangouts, that's where you want to go for all that archive information. Get Help Hangouts is basically geared towards Google certified trainers. So you don't have to be a Google certified trainer to watch this, of course, but that's kind of what we're trying to do, is provide some professional development for our Google certified trainers. If you are interested in becoming a Google certified trainer, whose basically job is to support the educators as they redefine learning with technology, there's a URL down there. As I mentioned before, all in the show notes and stuff, you'll have all the links to what we're covering here. But you can also just Google certified trainer, and you'll find all the information there on how you can become a trainer as well. So this is our agenda today. We're going to cover the what's new stuff from Google, some really cool stuff. I'm very excited. Then we'll do our feature presentation, a random share, and then a shout out. So our random share is each of us or some of us will have some kind of link to something cool, and then a shout out. Anita, if there's something you'd like to put in as a random share, feel free. If not, no problem. I'm sorry, I should have told you about that earlier.
That's no worries. I can think of something.
Excellent. So let's take a look at what's new with Google. Now, we don't actually go and show you and demonstrate all this. I'll give you the links here. If you're following along with any of the announcements from Google or any of the other news sources, you probably have heard about this, but we want to make sure everyone's aware of them. So inserting math equations in Google Docs, that came out. Very excited to take a look at that for the math geeks, I'm sure. Nick, have you used that yet? Because I know you're a math guy. But you're muted.
I have not had a chance to use it yet, but I'm going to. Allison has, so I'll just defer to her.
Okay, Allison, yeah, you don't have to put your hand up.
So I was with Text Help last week and or a couple weeks ago, and they were demoing it, and I was blown away. You literally can like write on the screen, and it will convert it into a formula. So you can handwrite the formula, and it will convert it into a Google Doc. It's crazy.
Is that Equatio or this new feature?
This
sorry,
feature,
am I not paying attention?
Yeah. Equatio did what you were doing, and Equatio also does like voice to text and all that sorts of stuff. This is actually formulas that you built right into Google Docs.
Okay, so it's the equation editor for Google Docs. So you have the equation editor, which is similar to it's similar to a feature that people have been asking for a long time because they're used to it. Another product, and the Equatio through Text Help is the one that I saw. And it references it in the resource link that if you want more to check that out, and it's pretty phenomenal. And plus, given the fact that new tablet's out and the Chromebooks are out, the stylus it's really powerful for math. So I don't work for Text Help.
No, and we actually had the guys from Equatio on one of our previous shows. So if you're interested in comparing, guys, go ahead and take a look at the archive at our website.
Yep, John McGowan, great guy.
Yes, very nice guy. Add a custom favicon in the new Google Sites. So the favicon is when you've got a web page open, and at the very top there's a little logo that's associated with the URL and the name of the website. That's been added in. Typically, it's a very small piece. Usually it's 20 pixels by 20 pixels, but it's kind of nice because it sure helps with your branding on your website, so you can throw that in there. Migrating classic sites to new sites. So we've been waiting for a tool like this. It's come out. This is the first stab at it. It's only working on the personal websites, but it's basically a starting point for what's going to be hopefully be available to us soon enough. Anyone played with that yet?
I have created my own favicon before, which is fun. I have not had a chance to play with sites, but it's just taking the little picture and then uploading it. So I have a little favicon that's my face. If you go to nickcusmano.com.
I'm going there right now.
Okay.
And I did try the conversion out just for people who are curious about it. It is probably in its early stages. That's why it's limited to the personal account. It doesn't work with all your sites. So if you have a site that has a lot of embedded stuff and a lot of different things brought in, it won't give you the option to convert. It'll give you the option on cleaner, more less involved websites. So if you do have classic sites in your Gmail account, your consumer account, go in and see and flip through them. You'll see a little notice at the top that says convert this, try and convert it, and go through the steps and see how it works out. You have nothing to lose.
One of the nice things that you should be aware of, though, is that if you have a URL set up, whatever it is, goo.gl/blah, whatever, it will keep the same URL. So it doesn't give you a second copy to work on. And then so that you can, so it from the reading I've looked at, it does give you and replace the existing URL. So if you're playing around with it, you might want to create a copy in old Google Sites, create another copy, then play with that tool to see how the migration works. But just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, definitely play around with it if you have any Google Sites made in a Gmail account. Just try it out.
Yes. Hangouts Chats is a new app available. It's also available on the web at chat.google.com. Was this the team tool that they came out with a little while ago? Well, let's assume that nobody knows the answer.
You can make rooms, and you can label them. It doesn't have any video feature, though. So just keep that in mind. Like you're used to Hangouts being able to jump into a video call. It doesn't have the video feature in it.
Yeah,
maybe it's a Jamboard app. Needle toes.
Well, and the other thing too is with that chat at the moment, from what I've played around with, it's only available to internal. So it has to be within your domain. You can't invite anybody external. So it's kind of like a team, kind of like Team Drives, kind of, but you can't introduce anyone externally. Jamboard updates. Are you going to talk a bit about that, Anita, or shall I just tell everyone to go to the link and see what there is?
Yeah, I mean, you can, I'm trying to think what the recent, I know you've two in here. One is that your Jam files, if you have downloaded the app before and created Jam files, you'll now see those in your Google Drive. And if you type in type:"Jam, then you'll see all your Jam files show up in your Drive folder. And then on the other link, I'm trying to...
It's the background was the big thing.
Oh, yeah. And I'll actually demo those features. So, yeah,
okay.
Yeah, so there's some great new features. And every month there's Jamboard features, I feel like, you know, new features coming out. So, you know, just stay tuned on the Jamboard and the Jamboard app. It's just constantly getting upgrades and revisions, which is really great to see.
Excellent. Okay, so yeah, Jamboard updates, backgrounds and stuff. Go ahead, take a look at that. Another thing that's coming out is the activity dashboard. So not only can you take a look at the activity flow of a file within Google Drive to see who's made what minor changes, but now you're going to be able to actually see who has actually looked at the document. And some of this stuff is already available if you're an administrator, and you can pull up these kind of reports within the admin console. But now you can actually do that as a user, keeping in mind that there are some caveats, because if I decide I don't want to be tracked, it will allow me to say that yes, I don't want to track it. That makes sense to everyone? Did I miss anything? Okay. So that's our what's new. So now we're going to move right into feature presentations. Actually, I'm just going to take a quick look here on the chat. No questions yet. I think that's going to change right away here. So I hope you don't mind. I found this profile picture of you, so I use this for you. So this is our feature presentation. Anita from Google is going to be talking to us about the Jamboard, and I'm just going to let Anita run with it from here. Again, Anita, if you want us to join in your Jam or something like that, if you want to paste the link into the whatever, we'll try and help. But it looks like you've got two people there.
Yeah, I've got myself, and then I have just a demo account that I've set up. So I was going to just present a really quick deck, just a slide before I start. Do you guys see the presentation I'm sharing now?
Yep, we're good.
Okay, super. So yeah, I just wanted to quickly sort of, like, I guess, give it a little history and context on Jamboard. So Jamboard launched May of last year, May 2017. And originally it launched to our enterprise users, to our business users. And it was really to solve a problem that we saw with employees having to work remotely, and which is, you know, just an everyday thing now that we're all working through and dealing with. And there, you know, we have great VC technology that we can leverage, but actually being able to collaborate and brainstorm and really work together in that sort of whiteboarding type of space was difficult remotely. And sort of Jamboard really met a need and a problem that we had in the enterprise space. And initially, you know, obviously it's a whiteboard, an interactive whiteboard, so, you know, it lends itself really well to education. But initially, we didn't really market or pitch it to any EDU users. But in January, at the end of January, we announced that Jamboard is now part of G Suite for Education, or G Suite's core services. And that's really, you know, we found was, you know, the pivotal point to when we really did want to start working and talking to some of our EDU users, really to understand, you know, how might you use Jamboard in your educational institutions, in your schools, and what value might it bring, what problems might it solve, and we've started lots of conversations and, you know, workshops with various educators now, and really just want to hear from everyone who has who's downloaded the app and is using the app, or who's bought a board. And so my one ask of today is that if you haven't already downloaded the app, then please go ahead and do that. In some cases, the app may not be turned on for your domain, so go talk to your G Suite administrator if it's not, and ask them or encourage them to turn the app on for your domain. So I will switch over and kind of give the demo now. So if you could switch to the other, who switches? Is it me or you that pins?
I'm the switcher guy, so I'm the student now.
Perfect, thank you. If you could switch to the other one. So I'll give a quick demo then of, and I'll just make sure that this other device is plugged in. So I am sitting in a room. There is a rather large device behind me oh, and I'm going to stop screen sharing.
I was going to say, yeah, if you did that.
Nobody sees, but bear with me while I, oh yeah, there we go. So anyway, in this room, I do have a rather large device. It's the Jamboard that we all know. It's I suppose the hero device for the Jamboard app. And where we sort of see most people kind of show interest initially. But today I sort of wanted to actually give the demo on the app, and I have 2 Pixelbooks here today and with a stylus. But as we were kind of mentioning earlier, there's so many Chromebooks available now with styluses that are Android enabled. And I just think that's a really great stepping stone to start using this app and to start getting familiar with the features and the functionality. And to be honest, all of the features that you see on the app for both for the tablet, so whether it's your iPad or your Chromebook, those are all the same features that you have on this kind of large device. It's just amplified. It's kind of a better writing experience when you actually have the large device. So if I then switch into, so if you're kind of looking at my large screen now, or in my test demo account, I'm showing you what the Jamboard app looks like on my Chromebook. And in here on the bottom right-hand side, you'll see there's kind of options to create a new jam. That jam files are called jams, or you can join a jam. For today's demo, I have a prepared demo jam that I started, and I just wanted to have that ready to kind of highlight some of the features that I think are particularly applicable in the education space. So one of the first features that I wanted to talk through is annotation. And the key thing about the Jamboard, whether it's on the app or on the device itself, the writing and the annotation just feels really, really intuitive. And we sort of think it's kind of a real differentiator to other interactive whiteboards that are out there. But on the left-hand side here, you can see there's a number of different pen and stylus options. So I choose, I like this kind of rather thick marker, and you can just literally annotate where you want to, on your jam file. And I chose a baseball theme for this demo today, given the day that's in it. Yeah, this is so annotation. So there's lots of drawing options. There's lots of colors. There's various colors that you can choose, and you can really think of it. It's a whiteboard. It's like fully intuitive in terms of like its whiteboarding capability and its drawing capability. The next thing then, and I'm going to start kind of highlighting some of the features that I think are particularly useful in the education space, is the idea of collaborating on your jam and your jam file. So in here in the top right-hand corner of the app, there's an option to add people. And just like any other file, you can add users and add new email addresses of the students that you might want to work together as part of a team working on a project. Or, obviously working with individual students on challenges or tasks that you might want to pitch to them. So it's very simple just to add collaborators and add people into your jam file. Another really interesting feature related to collaboration is the ability to connect to a meeting. So up here as well, you have this ability to just join and enter a Hangout or join and connect people to a Google Meet. And this we've heard tons of use cases from education users related to, for example, language learning and inviting a native speaker into a Hangout and actually having a challenge on or having a task on the Jamboard where you can all work together collaboratively, on this white space and really sort of bring the students into an immersive experience in in the class. Other examples are like community challenges that you might have your students want to work together on, and you invite community members in through a Hangout and have them working, giving feedback on an idea or a challenge that the students might be working on. And, you know, the options really are endless, you know, loading an image. And let me show you how to, I'll kind of show this later as well. But on the left-hand side here, there's the option to upload an image into your Jam file. And if I think about, I don't know, maybe some baseball art, I can do a search for an image, and all the images that are in the Jam app, they are all safe search images, and they're all royalty-free images. So you don't really have to worry about students finding, you know, inappropriate or images that they shouldn't be using for any of their projects. So, you know, you could load an image into the Jam app, and then you can manipulate that in any way that you can. And there's, you know, so much options available in terms of manipulation. And then, you know, you can invite someone into your Hangout and have them then annotate and, you know, really talk to any specific parts of that art file or that image that you wanted to kind of have the discussion about within your class that day. So just really, really simple, intuitive, but a huge amount of opportunity when it comes to education. If I go across the top, so you'll see across the top there, I'm just pulling down the menu to see all the other frames or panels that are available in this Jam file. So at the moment, you can have up to 20 frames up here on the top. I'm going to click into this next one, and this is what we were talking about earlier. One of the most recent features that came out in the Jamboard is the ability to change the background. So if I click up here again, you'll see this little kind of black and white square here, and I can click on that and I can see the various background options that are available. So there's grid paper, there's lines, there's tiles, and I particularly like this plotting background. And you can see there I've kind of drawn an example, you know, Matt's example, where again you just have, you know, a huge amount of opportunity to just kind of work collaboratively and solve problems with your students. And so one other feature that I wanted to show was this shape recognition. So on the right-hand side, and the menu, the pen menu can go on the right or the left, and you can move it across using the arrow. But up here, there's a shape recognition feature. And if I draw a circle, for example, here, it will kind of recognize that I was trying to draw a circle, and it will complete that circle for me. And then, you know, you can just think about any sort of mathematics or math challenge that you might want to set students using this particular capability. The other feature that recently launched is the auto draw feature, and this feature is just really, really fun. I really love this feature, and again, in the same menu option at the very bottom, there's a little magic wand feature. And then once you have that enabled, once you start to draw, the machine learning is going to try to figure out what it is that you're trying to draw. So I'm trying to draw a baseball player here, and I'm going to just wait and see if it actually recognizes what I was trying to draw. And lo and behold, here we have a baseball player that it knew I was trying to draw. And again, this is just like then any other file or image that you want to bring into your Jamboard app. You can manipulate it in any way that you want. And then if I go back up to my pen options here, I can choose a pen, I can take a color, and I can start, you know, to draw in that that image that that it magically created for me, because I'm not really a very great artist at all. So those are some of the other features that I think are really great features and have, you know, lots of potential in education. The next feature I kind of wanted to talk through was handwriting recognition. So again, in this same option on the top button, there's this AA little icon, and that puts us into handwriting recognition mode. So in this mode, again, it's, you know, machine learning based opportunity where I start writing hello, and it picks up what I'm trying to write, and it will convert it then into text, and then you have like full options to edit and modify what it is that you're writing. So instead of hello world, I can write hello everyone, and it will pick up what it is that I'm trying to write and convert it. And I actually saw this being really useful. I had my 5-year-old in the other day. It was a snow day here in New York, and she finds it hard to write A's. Her A's tend to look a lot like Q's, and it was just really interesting for her to just practice over and over again. Like the ML wasn't picking up her A because it kept thinking it was a Q, and then eventually she got it, and it was really interesting just to see her kind of go through that process of getting the algorithm to, or for her to learn how to write it so that the algorithm could pick up what it was that she was trying to write. So that was fun to watch her do. The other feature I wanted to show was, it's fully integrated. We spoke at the very start, one of the most recent updates is that all your Jam files are now viewable in Google Drive. But likewise, on the this menu option here, whoops, I just moved that over to the left. I have the option to click into this little option here and find all my Google Drive files. So if I go down here to the bottom, I have this just welcome to Google Drive PDF. If I click on that and I open it up, oops, then in here, this is a 13-page PDF. I can take any page in this PDF and drag it out. And then once it's dragged out, it works and operates like any other image. So you then have a full ability to manipulate that image, make it smaller or make it bigger. And in education, I've seen a lot of teachers bring in their PowerPoint presentations and annotate on top of those presentations and allow students to annotate on top of the presentations. The slides themselves remain unchanged. So the slides themselves don't get edited, but you can kind of make your annotations and draw on top of and kind of like really explain key things in here without sort of losing any of the, the original deck where you can keep reusing that again and again with classes year over year or kind of across different classes that you're teaching the same subjects to. I'm sort of moving swiftly because I'm expecting if there are any questions, feel free to interrupt me. The last pane that I have sort of prepared is this image search. So I've already spoken a little bit about the image search. Again, on the left-hand side here, we have the option to do our image search. Keeping in line, I guess, with the theme of baseball today, we can, search for any image. And as I say, they're all royalty-free and safe search images. So you can just choose any image and then just take that image and bring it in into your Jam file and then manipulate it as you kind of can any other image that you bring in or any other file that you're bringing in. And then, like we said before, you can start annotating on top of that, and this is the ball. And please don't ask me any questions about baseball. As you can tell, my accent, I'm not very familiar with the sport that is baseball. So, the last feature that I wanted to sort of highlight for the EDU side was the web search. So again, down here, it's the same menu all the time. There's the little world icon, and you can again search for anything in here. And let me just pull up. Let's say baseball history, and in here you can click into any image. You can just browse this space here as you like, and then the way that it works, it sort of allows you to crop various pieces of the internet, of the web that you might find, and then bring that in. And if you sort of think about the Jamboard being this really sort of creative, collaborative space where you can, really start, we've run a lot of design thinking workshops where you can really start to, really problem solve, ideate on something, kickstart like ideas for a new project. You can start cropping, and so up here there's a little scissors where I can start cropping pieces of this particular internet and then internet website, and then I can take that back, and again it gets pulled in here as an image that then I can manipulate as I see fit then as well. And then those are kind of some of the key features all along. And, you know, it's a live demo. I'm always a little worried about what might happen in a live demo, but you know, this is just like any other Google file. Everyone who's a collaborator can be added to this Google file and can all be working on the same file remotely. And, you know, as I said at the start, like this was one of the main reasons that Jamboard got created in the first place, and the Jam app is really to enable people to work and collaborate together remotely. And so, you know, 2, 3, you know, up to you know, as many as you think. I think 50 is the max. Actually, although I may be incorrect on that, it might be even larger. And you can have as many, you know, students really kind of working together on one Jam file, and it's just, you know, really, really exciting kind of to start bringing this into education and to seeing where it's going to go. So that's kind of the demo, but I'm open to any questions that people have. I do have a couple more slides, but I'm kind of open to questions now, or I can kind of go back to the slides and see where.
Oh, you froze for a second. But you're ready to take questions, right?
Yeah, I do have a few slides again, if I, you know, but also we can take questions now, and then I can go back to the slides later, whatever you think.
Why don't you do the slides first, because if there's more questions, then we'll address it then.
Okay, super. So I'll go back and I'll share my slide screens. Present. Do you guys see this?
Yeah,
so I guess kind of one of the reasons, you know, I'm very excited about this, as I kind of mentioned before, I have a kindergarten student at the moment, and you know, we sort of know that a lot of the jobs of the future don't even exist yet, and you know, the research that that we've done with the Economist group kind of show like the top skills that are sort of needed in the workplace are things like problem solving, team working, communications. You know, you all know these more than I do, and I just kind of feel as we've been sort of exploring the Jamboard in education, it really can enable a lot of those skills that we know are sort of going to be really critical in the future. So from problem solving to teamwork, communication, you know, I've seen like firsthand a lot of use cases for Jamboard to really enable those types of skills in education. And yeah, happy to take questions now, but there's also some examples here. This is some art drawn by an art student, some music, that we've had a music major work on, and I couldn't leave today without showcasing some of the work that my my 5-year-old also does as well. And you can see in the bottom left there her dog and her cat and her Q-shaped A at the end of her name. But you know, she had a ton of fun here the day she came in on our snow day, and you know, I really saw a lot of potential kind of when you see a 5-year-old working on something like this. So yeah, that's the demo, and happy to take any questions that you all have.
Okay, just a second. I'm going to do a quick share here so we can have those questions. First one comes from Tom. Tom says, do you think there will be a web version of the Jamboard app down the line?
Yeah, so hey Tom. So right now, if you go to jamboard.google.com, there is you can follow along. So you can go there, you can log in, you know, with your Google account, and any file that you are a collaborator of, you can open it up and you can follow along. So let's say, for example, you don't have the app on, it's a laptop that's not Android enabled or is not an iPad. Then, and yeah, I think, you know, over time we'll see more and more capability being released, and you know, we're as I say, we're sort of launching features all the time. So yeah, I think, you know, continue to look out for features. The one thing I would say on that, you know, the drawing capability and the annotating and the pen, I think that's what you would lose when you start going into the web experience. So, you know, that's the trade-off that I think the product team are probably always struggling with.
Okay, let's take a look at the second question then. I see you can present a Jamboard to a Meet meeting. Any chance of casting capability coming to the iOS apps in the future? And I actually have another question that's kind of related to that. Can you cast to just a meeting, or can you also cast to the old-fashioned Hangout?
Yeah, so I think the kind of workarounds that you might choose are, again, kind of going back to the web file. So like I say, if you have, if you wanted to cast from, you can go to your jamboard.google.com, and it's, you know, it's the web version, and you can cast, you know, as long as you can cast from any web URL, then you would be able to do that. It's just more, you know, I guess I'd love to sort of know kind of, yeah, what the use case is, but if it's just to sort of cast it to the front of the classroom, then that's probably the workaround I would probably suggest.
And what about iOS?
You know, I don't know. I think the workaround there, I would say, is to join a meet and then to you know, I almost feel like I don't know the answer to that question. I would need to sit down and play around and figure it out. I'm going to be honest. Yeah. Sure.
No worries. Hang on a sec. Let me pull this other question up because I like it better. Okay. So will there be Google Jamboard / Google Classroom integration down the line?
Yeah, I'm sure there will be. You know, I feel like it's now a Drive file, and you know, the reason we created Classroom in the first place was, you know, to really integrate and make it really seamless to assign assignments to students and to be able to communicate really easily with our students. And you know, and I think tighter integration will come down the line.
And let's see, there's a question, is this like a whiteboard on the computer? I think the answer is pretty straightforward, is yes for that one.
Yeah, I would say on steroids, you know. I think it's certainly when you have that, like a really great stylus and great device, I think it's got a huge amount of potential just in terms of like how intuitive it is, you know, versus really trying to manipulate with a mouse or you know, something that a trackpad that you might have been familiar with in the past.
Okay, that's it for questions. Nick, Allison, have you guys used the app at all? No one's talking, so is that a no?
I do not have a touch-based device right now, so I'll have to experiment with it when I get a chance. But I am sharing in the notes Tom Mulaney, who asked the first question. I'm sharing his YouTube channel, and he's got at least 10 videos using the Jamboard app, and great one to follow for tips and tricks and great all different things, Google and other stuff that Tom shares.
Yeah, Tom has been, you know, just a great tester of the app. We get tons of feedback in from him, and so, you know, I would encourage you all to take a look at his YouTube channel. He goes in, he tests out the features, he sends us feedback, and I would encourage anyone and everyone to go in and do the same. It's really, really useful, and it really just helps us understand, you know, what that feedback looks like from an education user versus, you know, our business user or our enterprise user.
Allison, did you have something you wanted to say or add?
No, I concur. I think Tom's the go-to person leading the way and showing us, you know, some of the great things you could do with it. I'm just waiting to see what happens next.
Okay. I have a couple of, I've played around with it, but I do have a couple of things for people to keep in mind and to try out. And the one thing that Anita mentioned is that you can share this file with a number of students. And just like any other Google document, I can be on sheet 1, Anita can be on sheet 5, someone else can be on sheet 7. So when you're saying to a classroom, saying, hey guys, we're all gonna go and work on this, everyone can work on different tabs or sorry, different sheets. They don't all have to be on the same one. And if you're trying to do the typing handwriting recognition on one of these devices and you're trying to use the stylus, the problem I've found is that you're trying to write really big here and you don't get, like, you fill up your screen. But a trick is if you take your 2 fingers and zoom in really small, or zoom in really big, then you can write as big as you want on the screen, but on the actual document itself, it shows up really small. And for someone who doesn't have a full-size Jamboard to play with, that's a really important function. I know, Anita, let's see, we're at 20 minutes too. If you got just a couple of minutes, because there's a couple of things I'd really like you to demonstrate, because it's so cool with the handwriting, how you can put in 2 different sentences, how you can join them together, and then also how you can insert and take out letters and spaces.
Yeah, sure. Let me open up. So I'm still presenting, right?
Yep, you got that student one there, so I switched over that.
So I will open up a new frame here. And it's just so let me go up here. We'll get the handwriting here. So if I, let's say we'll start off with our hello world. So the great thing in terms of being intuitive, the idea that you're kind of talking about, it's possible to sort of strike through things that you sort of would naturally, I suppose, as you're writing text. So if, for example, I realized actually I spelled world wrong, and I just can strike through the letter that if I got something spelled incorrectly. And then words themselves, so I wrote these together, so you can see there when I select that it's paired, but sometimes you tend to, if you're writing something that's rather long, so let me, okay, I'll just try and pop in, oops. And of course I didn't quite write that right because I'm on the stylus and it's not, hold on, I'll strike that through again. Oops, I need to just, like you said, make it a little bigger, and I will just, oops, sorry. Bear with me, I feel like I've just.
Yeah, the strike through stuff is always the part that I've always had trouble with.
I know, I feel like sometimes in situations like that, I just, if it's just, whoops.
Here, I'll just add some text here for you and see if.
Sorry, and I'm just trying to
pull
this into the. So when they come in as objects. So I'm just going to pull these down and start from. It's just getting a little. Oops, sorry. Okay, so yeah, and then did yours convert, or were you in the?
I was in drawing. I'm going to switch that.
Yeah, and that's actually one really good. I didn't showcase the lasso, but the lasso is one easy way to just like pull everything down in if you want to sort of like just take and correct a number of items. So going back, oh yeah, you like puppies. There you go. So let me think. Let's see, hello world. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so.
You're in the selection tool.
I'm still in the lasso tool. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So generally speaking, when you write, you'll see that each, I guess, kind of chunks of text will get pulled and framed in together. So what you can do then is kind of bump text together. So then it will, and I bumped that together a little incorrectly, but it will basically sort of join your text together. And I actually don't know if that was incorrectly added in originally, but you can take your text and bump them together so that you can, like you said, sort of join your text. And you can see there, this is just where you can see the cursor is just lining up just there. So then you can drop it in, and then to create that, to bring your text in together and kind of create larger structures. So I will just take that and make it a little smaller, and then you can manipulate that around. And then again, if I bring it here, you can see the sort of like the purple line. I don't know if you're seeing that or not.
Yep.
And then once you sort of see that, then it will kind of bump that, and that's all joined together now. And then I can take that and manipulate that, and then it's kind of all one structure. So it kind of takes just a little practice and getting used to. But once you sort of get used to it and kind of you know what you're looking for on the screen, and then you can kind of manipulate and kind of work with large pieces of text to kind of like bring them all together. Because sometimes if you're writing a one large string at the same time, it can kind of land and sort of end up being in kind of smaller chunks, and there's a way to sort of bring it back together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I like Anita said, take the time to play with it, and make the like zoom in on the screen so that you can write really big, and then let Google do its thing, give you the typing, and then you'll end up with small type. And then again, you can move that stuff around like Anita showed. You can resize it. You can actually do some really cool stuff with it, playing around with it. Anita, did you have some use case stories you wanted to tell us?
Yeah, I tried to sort of pepper them in as I was kind of going through, like some of the things that we're sort of seeing, are like that integration with Google Hangouts, and just being able to sort of bring community members in to sort of create these kind of shared projects across the community, across schools. That's something that we're kind of really seeing a lot of use cases. We've actually seen in our higher ed space, and I don't know if this would be interesting in the K-12 space, but we did a pilot with some colleges in Michigan where 3 colleges basically agreed to share course curriculum. So students would log in from 2 other campuses and join the lecture in college A, and then kind of vice versa. So they were able to expand their curriculum offering, kind of using the technology, and then the Jamboard act as the sort of virtual whiteboard across the 3 campuses. So that was just a really interesting use case, and everyone, sort of the faculty, the students, kind of all found it really, really useful and really, really powerful, and it kind of helped the colleges to expand their curriculum offerings. In terms of other use cases, I think we've been running a lot of design thinking workshops, and I know design thinking is kind of something that's sort of top of mind in sort of a lot of maker spaces and in tinker rooms, and just kind of really enabling students to I guess enable them to sort of like have a process that they can go through to sort of like design and to kind of have a creative output, and the design thinking process works really well on this. Even if it's something that you start on day 1 and you go back to, like, the whole point is that it's in a file, and then you can work on this app during the class. You can take it away, you can kind of work on it later, you can go back. If you do have a big board, you can push that file up to the board and kind of huddle around it, and that's where we're seeing kind of a lot of usage of the boards in education, is in the sort of maker spaces, in the huddle rooms, in the libraries, kind of if people are doing library redesigns, and just that those kind of collaborative, like, communal areas where we tend to see a lot of students kind of working together on group projects. I'd say they're kind of the top use cases that I would see, and I think a lot of the features just lend themselves really well to those types of use cases.
Excellent. Great. Thank you very much, Anita. Really appreciate it. I've been looking very forward to having someone come in and talk about that Jamboard. So it's very exciting stuff. If you guys have any questions and you're watching this in the archive, put them down in the comments field below, and we'll make sure that I'll reach out to Anita or make sure that she gets the questions in case you have something that wasn't answered during the session today. Yeah. Nick, Allison, anything that you guys would like to add?
I have a feeling we're going to keep revisiting this topic over and over again, because the updates and the changes and the implementation in education is going to take off.
And it's so much fun to play with. It really is. Okay, let's kind of move along then, because we have 10 minutes left in the show, and I just want to make sure we get a chance to cover everything we talked about. So that was our feature presentation. Next step is we're going to take a look at our random shares. So with the random share, some of us have items that we'd like to share. Just 1 minute to go through really quickly and explain what we're doing. Trevor didn't do one because he was busy, so I'm going to let Allison talk about her random share.
Okay. Well, if you know me, you know that I am always very keen to share the coding and the open resources that Google offers beyond an application. And so I stumbled upon the Google developers site, and they have a nano degree, and that intrigued me because I in the library I had a group of students who I was able to kind of curate as exploring code, just informally. Instead of doing nothing in your free time, let's explore code and do a variety of things. And I have a couple of them keen on this. I'm going to show it to you right now. So let me do a quick screen share in the 30 seconds I have left. And if you go to developers.google.com, you should be able to find your way. It's /training/Android that I'm on right now. But basically, there's a lot here. And so I wanted to draw your attention specifically to building your Android development skills. If you scroll down the page, there is a link to starting with the Android development for beginners, and then there's the nano degree. And it's actually offered through Udacity by Google. So when you click on the link, it asks you to set up an account at Udacity, and you log in and you can begin learning. Like literally the minute you sync and log in with Google, this is what you see. So you can go through the tutorials together at your own pace and earn your certificate that way. So just sharing that yet another free program that can help our students develop skills that can get them a job.
Excellent. Thank you. Nick, I think your screen's already up there, so go ahead.
So I wanted to share the new Google Arts and Cultural experiment. It's called Life Tags and Life Magazine. So, which is great for anytime you're dealing with history or social issues, or maybe you need something to start a prompt. So this one, they've done analyzing of 4 million iconic photographs from the Life magazine archive. And with the photo recognition algorithm, it's gone through and identified all those different parts of things that are in the picture, and then you can then search by that. And so if you are maybe researching fashion of a particular time, or what was the style, or just particular objects or items from a particular time. One thing I searched for, because I thought it would be an interesting one, was the failed car, the Edsel. So you pull up the share screen, or the search icon. So I typed in Edsel. And then so it searches that for me and then pulls it up and gives me pictures and information about that. And so if you wanted to reference the huge plop in all these different pictures from the Life magazine archive and high quality stuff. In addition to Life magazine, additional thing on that, all the Life photos are, if you can search for them at images.google.com hosted Life. And if you're using them for personal use, which would be educational use, you can then have a resource. And it's also really nice. You pull that open, you go to the page, and it's going to give you your photo editing, your information about that, so that you can identify as much of it as you can. So that's my random share.
Very cool. Thank you. And just so you know, Nick also put down there Tom Mulaney's YouTube channel with the Jamboard app. So he got a double whammy this time. Anita, do you have anything you want to share? Or?
We'll call that one your share, Tom. Your share.
Yeah.
And you can also call me Tom as part of that. That's great. Anita, do you have?
Well, I'm going
no
to
pressure.
Last night I was doing some work in Google Sheets, and I always feel like I'm missing out on a faster way to do something in Google Sheets. And what I discovered last night and maybe everybody already knows this, is if you press Control and /, all the shortcuts for that app will pop up, and you can see. And I always find it just really interesting. In every app, there's shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts to do anything, and I just think it's that's the only one you now need to remember, and then you can press that and go from there. Because I actually think I would be much more productive if I knew shortcuts off by heart. So that's my share. Control and /.
Excellent.
I almost feel like we need a course. Like we have to go to a class in shortcuts, or we're never going to use them the way we can.
I know.
Well, and the way to remember that actually is it's, even though you don't use the Shift key, it's Control and $, right? Because it's if you hold the second icon. So that's always an easy way to remember it.
That's probably why it's Control and /. I never even thought about that.
Yeah. Excellent. Oh, okay. Last thing we're at then is we're going to do a shout out. So basically what we do is we take a look at our Google certified trainers, and we go through some of the documentation that we all have to submit as a trainer. Everyone has to produce some kind of materials that they share with the other training group, in addition to all the training that they have to do. And our shout out goes to Steven Sutantro. Apologies in advance if I've said this wrong. Did you put this in, Allison?
Justin, he was unable to come, but this is Justin's nomination, so it's more special. That's important to know.
Okay. So anyway, Stephen has G Suites for Education YouTube video series. The link is in there onto our slide deck, which is part of the show notes. And Justin's comments are, he's charismatic, he's passionate, and he's very googly. Keep up the great work, Stephen. So a Googler has called him googly. That's pretty high praise. So nicely done, Stephen. That's it for our show, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. If you want to see any of our previous videos, again, bit.ly/gethelphangouts is our website. You'll be able to find the archive in there. Eventually, I'm hoping to have a searchable interface using awesome tables or something like that you can go back and search by subject and whatever else. So you don't actually have to hunt through all the videos. But if you want to hunt, if you go to our YouTube channel, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel there, and you'll get notifications and every time the next show is about to start. And please, please, please pass this information on, pass the links on to your friends and stuff as far as this particular episode about the Jamboard, because I know lots of people are going to be excited about it. And again, we'll see you guys in a month's time. If there's nothing else to say of the rest of the guys, thank you very much for joining us, and say goodbye.
Goodbye.